Welcome, friends and fellow manslaughterers of friends' wives, to Sunday Cinematic Service, the weekly trawl through the highs and lows of religious-based works of media. Today we move away from the realm of film into television, specifically The Simpsons. The Simpsons is a long-running Fox animated show, broadly satirical in bent. It's taken on all the sacred cows, government, big business, any kind of institution you could imagine. It's taken satirical swipes at over the years. Obviously inherent to this is religion. And we watched a season 11, broadly thought to be the best season, episode called Alone Again, Natura-Diddily. I think that's what it's called, isn't it? Yeah.
It's sort of like that, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be on the title anyway, so, the plot basically is that Ned Flanders, long-running character, is a devout Christian. Due to the buffoonish nature of his friend Homer Simpson, the main character of the show, his wife is murdered in at a NASCAR rally.
Yeah, it's coded to be NASCAR, I think, yeah.
To be honest, the plot is almost psychedelic, but she dies. So broadly speaking, the bit we'll probably talk about most, being a religious-based podcast ostensibly, is that his wife gets killed, then he has a crisis of faith, doesn't believe in God, then suddenly he does. What did you think of the Simpsons episode Alone Again, Natura-Diddily?
Well, to be honest, I'd kind of forgotten how bad The Simpsons could get, like, at its absolute worst. Like, okay. I'd kind of forgotten how terrible the writing got. Because we've just recorded our first entry in our Simpsons Absence of Waldo series in a very, very long time, where we reviewed a absolute classic episode from season 3, and I loved that. That was really fun to watch. I've been going to this in sharp contrast to when the rot was truly starting to set in probably the worst season.
It's just like the worst. This is the season where it became actively bad. Like, now it's boring and it's repetitive. This is like just terrible. Like, This I don't think this is boring or like serviceable. I think this is objectively a bad piece of television.
Yeah, it's on every single level. It's just poorly written. The structure's terrible. The jokes make no sense. Like, literally, they make no sense. Basically, the last episode we watched, I Married Marge, that was an episode of The Simpsons. This one was just an episode of a cartoon.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. The characters could be anyone. Like, Homer doesn't act like he did in any of the classic ones.
No, I think that's the best description. I can't remember which producer it was who left in the early days of The Simpsons. But basically he said that the problem with The Simpsons is that it became just another cartoon.
Yeah.
And this season is a great example of that, and particularly this episode. I mean, I think I even vaguely remember this one when it actually first aired.
I remember watching this all the time on television.
Yeah, I remember this one being on quite a lot. I mean, to me, the episode that killed The Simpsons was like, I don't know, the episode with Tony Hawk. Which was like the 200th episode.
Truly awful. That's that episode.
Awful. That one. Even when I was a kid, I remember thinking, "Man, The Simpsons, what happened?" But it's still going. But if you want to hear more Simpsons-related content in our episode-by-episode analysis, you can check out our sub-series where we go through and review every single episode of The Simpsons.
Up to halfway through season 3 now.
after an extended 2-year break. So you can check that out on the channel as well. But yeah, for this episode, I mean, we may end up coming back to this one when we eventually get around to reviewing season 11.
I think we should just just have this as the one, because we're not going to cover new ground with it. And quite frankly, I don't want to watch this again.
No, I don't want. It's one we could skip when we get to watching season 11.
Well, I think it would be quite a good like a Schadenfreude thing to watch season 11 alongside season 3.
Oh God!
Just to get that whiplash quality of like, this is good, this is bad, and because there are some truly like just so bad it's unbelievable ones on this. Like the one I always think back to is the jockey one.
The jockey one is awful.
It's unbelievably bad though. It's not like just like that. It's like The Simpsons now is bad because it's just average. Like there are ones like on this that are just like they have like try and describe all the points that get you in this to where you need to be at the end. So It begins with the Simpsons going for a picnic, and then they turn out that the picnic isn't it's not like a forest, it's a NASCAR rally. Then Homer dodges some t-shirt shot at him, which kills Maude, which then means they go to the funeral, which then they have to awake at Homer's house.
Which is weird.
That's like Act 1, that.
Yeah.
Then, like, Ned starts dating again, goes on some disastrous dates, gives up on God. Then he goes to the church, and then there's the woman there who he instantly, likes. Then he decides not to go with her, but his faith in God is renewed. It's
the
just,
end.
You can't even, that's too much for 20 minutes, I think.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. And it was actually a really good video we should watch. It's like a YouTube video essay about the decline of The Simpsons, and a guy... He basically compares like kind of what we've done. He compares a classic season episode of the way it's structured to a modern one, like side by side, and basically goes through that all the points that it takes to get to the plot. Like in classic Simpsons, you'd have your A plot, which is structured in a very traditional way. Then you'd have your B plot. In this, there is none of that. It's all just like one, just random series of events going from one thing to another. If I wasn't so inclined to describe it in artistic terms, you could almost see it as just been freewheeling, almost free form, but it's definitely not the intention.
Imagine if I don't know. There is a greater use of kind of meta jokes in this. So, for example, you get, the star wipe. There's a bit where they're joking about star wipes, and it star wipes away.
We love star wipes here at Absence of Waldo.
Yep, Sopranos did it, so it's good enough for them, so Simpsons can do it. And there's also, the bit where it's what kind of egotist would want their name written down? Then the writer's name comes up.
That Ian Maxtone Graham, who I think was the showrunner of his time as well.
Oh, God, so he's responsible for, all these terrible episodes, then.
Yeah, Ian Maxtone Graham's, period is basically viewed as being, the absolute lowest point of The Simpsons. He left a few seasons after this, and the one who's been in since is basically just firefighting. Yeah. Just keeping the show running.
Oh,
well, I think Ian Maxtone Graham as the showrunner really kind of took it into, basically made it into a cartoon. Suddenly the characters didn't act like the characters anymore. They were cartoon characters.
Yeah.
They weren't like The Simpsons.
Well, you can see this in this. Homer is
he's a monster.
He's a monster. Yeah, he doesn't work, which gets rid of the idea that they're a normal middle class family. He basically spends his entire time stalking Ned and trying to get him on the dating scene, against his will.
Filming him, without his knowledge, and that's the plot of, almost like a Lars von Trier film or something,
It's like Hitchcock.
It's like Hitchcock, yeah. It's like Rear Window style, yeah, or Vertigo or whatever.
Well, this episode is so good that there's actually a semi-sequel. Do you know the sequel episode to this?
Oh, okay.
He starts dating the woman in the band, and then he starts turning her into Maude. He cuts her hair.
Oh yeah, I remember that one. Yeah, that's not a very good episode.
No, but that's almost like Vertigo.
Yeah, it is like Vertigo. Yeah. Oh, right.
You see, it is exactly like Vertigo. So maybe Ian Maxtone, whatever, was laying in the
Ian Maxtone Graham. Yeah.
And there's just bits in this where basic sort of comedy grammar doesn't work. So there's a bit where Homer, for the purpose of the joke, he drives his car up and gets the NASCAR people to fix it.
Yeah.
But as you were saying, he'd have to go to the car, which is an hour away. Then in the next cut, he's back in his seat, despite the fact within the logic of the show, it's been a minute. So has he he's parked his car, got it out, gone back to where he needs to be within a minute,
And then later on, when Ned is running away from one of his terrible dates, he commandeers one of them swan boats, and he kind of rows away.
Yeah.
But then the next shot is him going to the Simpsons house, and the swan boat is parked outside. So the joke is, haha, I guess he drove all the way back. But it's well, how did he do that? I'm pretty sure the swan boats don't have wheels on the bottom.
It's almost like an avant-garde dreamscape, what this is in, I know it's not intended to be, but it's nothing makes any sense, and...
It's Lynchian.
Well, yeah, all the jokes in this, there's one really dodgy joke where they're oh, it's bees. Oh, they seem African.
Oh, yeah.
There's got African strength bee repellent.
I mean, it's also part of the thing they tried to do where they tried to find what made Marge funny. and we decided that her shtick was going to be that she was boring.
Yeah.
So, like, Ned says, like, oh, I'm as exciting as it's where he's excusing why his dates have gone so bad by, like, basically self-doubting himself. So he says, like, oh, I'm as exciting as a baked potato. And Marge takes that literally, like, oh, you sure are. You know, because baked potatoes are boring.
Yeah.
And Marge is boring, so therefore that's the joke.
That's pretty funny, though, to be fair.
It's a side split in that.
I actually, my side split, well, just from you describing the joke, I was like... Can you imagine, though, being like Dan Castellaneta reading these lines? He must know this is bad, like...
Well, that's the thing, like, a lot of the Simpsons voice actors pretty much say now that they don't remember the scripts.
That's pretty sad.
They literally just turn up, say the lines, and that's it. They don't remember, like, individual stories or episodes or pretty much anything from, like, the modern era. They say, yeah, we just turn up, we read the scripts, and that's it.
Just terrible. What did you think of the portrayal of... Well, there's portrayal of faith in this. It feels like there's a bit missing. Like, this episode, you want to do your classic 3-act structure. It'd be like, first act, Ned's doubting God for some reason, and you build up the relationship with him, and then Maud dies. Then he has an act where he might maybe like... goes completely off the rails, like starts dating again, doubts Christ. Then your third act is him coming back. Like, they just don't spend... So basically, he quits going to church, then the next scene he goes, sorry. There's no build-up with it.
Tissue, yeah, between those acts, yeah.
Like, it just... It's... Again, it's like, how... You can't even really describe why it's so bad. It's just, it's lacking what needs... It's like someone took a cleaver to, like, what would be a normal episode and just peppered it in with these bizarre, like, jokes.
Yeah, definitely. But it's like all the connected tissue on how you tell a 3-act story. They've kind of just, like, they don't understand, or they don't want to go through the effort of telling a 3-act story. Like, your inciting incident, Maud dies. Flanders is a crisis of faith. That's your first act, and that's, I say, end act 1. But then there's just all sorts of inconsistencies and weirdities and like to get the, like, because the show seems that people watch Mr. Dummies. Like, Ned literally has a picture of God, like, on his bedside table to indicate that he's lost his faith. So he turns a picture of God away for, like, a cheap gag.
Yeah,
it's like it's not how you do jokes, guys. Like,
and yeah, like, there's just the portrayal of faith in this is pretty, like. Well, it's pretty harrowing, really. Like, there's no reason for him to sort of go back to God, really. Like, God's taken his wife away, and he's got no reason. They didn't build up why he goes back to the church, really. Like,
there's one scene where Ned's like, oh, God, I'm starting to doubt why you took Maud. Like, what's going on?
That happens way too late in the story. It happens about 2 minutes before the end.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, really? Yeah, because it would have been fun to see, like Ned going off the rails and stuff.
A new side of the character we hadn't seen before.
Like, he's drinking, and, like, he's smoking, and he's, like, having, like, one-night stands, and, like, just crazy, out-of-character stuff.
You could have seen him at Moe's.
Yeah, seen him at Moe's, yeah, that would have been fun. And then, like, all the characters were acting like, whoa, a church boy, what are you doing here, What
would have been better is that, so Moe actually appears in this episode.
Oh, God, in a truly horrific scene, yeah.
I'm just saying, your wife, she's pretty hot. She was pretty hot.
I've heard basically Flanders starts to beat Moe up for that, and then he's like, oh, yeah, send me to Maud. And I literally said, like, when did Moe become a monster?
But, like, that could have worked if, like, maybe, like, Act 2 is, like, Flanders goes off the rails, and then Moe says that at Moe's, where Ned goes there to drink, and that's what brings him around or something, like...
Yeah, because basically, maybe at that point, after he's beaten Moe up, he could look around the bar, look at what he's done, and then look at the people who are there and be like, fuck, this isn't me.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, basic story structure, like,
Or, like, like, I think that what really is pretty bad in this is, like, the way they don't do, like, not Rod and Todd. Like, he could have abandoned Rod and Todd and then looked at... Or, like, Rod and Todd could have walked in as he beat Moe up or something,
Daddy.
like...
Yeah, he's got, like, blood on his fists and stuff.
I mean, it's rote stuff. It's not original, but it's better than what's in this,
if you want to get even, like, just do the baseline episode of, like, Flanders loses his faith, he goes off the rails, and then he gets pulled back again. That's how you do it, and that's how you build an emotional connection.
Yeah.
Again, like I feel like the Simpsons of the early days probably would have done something like that.
And I feel like as a satirical object, religion, they at least take religion seriously, like in previous episodes and stuff.
Yeah, sure, yeah. Like there's some great ones like Home of a Heretic.
But that takes seriously the idea of a crisis of faith, though.
Yeah,
it's
exactly,
not like
yeah.
cheap joke after someone's wife's died.
Yeah. And that's probably, in my opinion, the most egregious thing is the way it handles bereavement.
Barely handles it. It's just a thing where your wife dies, you feel sad for a little bit, and then like a week later you're fine.
Because like if you want to get rid of a bunch of characters who aren't really working, that's fine.
Yeah.
Like while I don't like the show, I am gonna favourably compare it to Family Guy here.
Okay.
Right. So there's an episode of Family Guy where there's like a murder mystery story. And basically, it's an excuse to kill off a bunch of the characters who didn't work.
All right.
So the episode itself for Family Guy is actually relatively fun.
Okay.
So it's like an extended 45-minute episode. It's like a murder mystery, and they kill off about 6 characters, ones who just weren't working. So they found an excuse to basically write those characters out
in a fun, original way.
Like a fun, original way. Yeah, I mean, I can't believe I'm actually.
What has this episode done to you?
I know when I'm comparing it favourably to Family Guy, but like when Family Guy wanted to get rid of a bunch of characters, that's what we did, and I think it's pretty smart and quite an original way of doing it. It's a fun episode, like legit a fun episode. But I mean, with this, there's got to be like a respectful way of getting rid of her.
And I've got to say now, so basically the backstory is that the actress wanted more money, and they just said no and killed her off. There's like a Maud replacement in this who's doesn't sound like Maud.
She sounds Canadian to me, like.
But like the bits where it's at Maud's funeral, it's like she was a side character. You see, this is another thing with a meta joke. So you've got like all the characters that have killed off before. You've got a joke about the things that have happened in The Simpsons that have made like direct repercussions. It's like she was a supporting character, not anything important. And I'm like, is this really a fair thing to do to an actress who just wanted a bit more money? Like, you're just denigrating the work she's done. Like, it seems really mean-spirited, to be honest. Like,
yeah, I think so as well. Yeah, it's
just an ugly episode.
Yeah. And that's what characterizes season 11 so much. Just these like bizarre stories and just like.
Well, I think they tried to go like off the deep end. So they were like, well, it's not a family. It's like. They're not a normal middle-class family now. They're just crazy people. Like, because it does get to a point where you have to go, like, are we going to repeat this or do something new? But the new things they tried were awful.
Yeah, they are awful, yeah.
Do you remember the one where they got into Florida on spring break? That's in this season. And, Kid Rock! Isn't it?
Yeah, and did they, like, kill an alligator or something?
Yeah, they kill an alligator and they go to jail and then, like, they get broken out. That's this season.
Oh, God, yeah. That one's awful. Like, it just the worst, yeah. Yeah, it gives me a headache thinking about this season, actually.
Any final closing thoughts on the portrayal of religion in this episode?
Well, it's not very good. It is the crux of the biscuit. I mean, as I said, you've got the basis of an interesting idea. As I said, Ned has a crisis of faith, but it's not like it's not followed through. It's kind of just there. Nothing really comes of it. Nothing.
It's
really.
handled really badly. And it's just there's just not enough really.
Yeah, it's basically it. Yeah, that sums it up.
Do you think this is one of the worst episodes of The Simpsons?
I mean, quite possibly.
I think it's pretty sad that this isn't the worst.
No, it's probably not the worst. No, I mean, I've heard like when I've seen people talk about the worst episodes of The Simpsons, a lot of people point to the Lady Gaga episode. Which is aired recently. That is meant to be just awful and everything wrong with modern Simpsons. Like just the worst. Yeah, I mean that's I mean it's fairly depressing Sunday cinematic service, this one, but it's
it has the feeling of Awake, which is pretty appropriate.
It does feel that way, and that's weird as well that they have the Wake at the Simpsons house.
Well, like you said, it was probably a lot cheaper to...
Yeah, they didn't want to go to the effort of like doing backgrounds for Ned's house because it just made the episode too expensive, so we'll have the wake set at the Simpsons house.
There's some dodgy... That bit where Bart plays that video game.
Oh, yeah.
And he shoots like the Hindu guy with the Bible. There's dodgy stuff in this, like genuinely quite offensive. It's just not good.
No.